Kia ora, welcome to fucking the stupidest podcast on earth.
Episode
11. Yeah, we're back. It's another week. The world's unraveling. Or maybe it's not. Maybe things are working out for once.
Yeah, it's hard to know, isn't it? I guess that's the thing about the world.
We're going in one direction or the other.
It's unpredictable. It's an unpredictable place to be, the world.
Looks like New Zealand's COVID-free, potentially, touch wood.
Yeah, I'm kind of jealous over here that you guys are level 1.
Yeah, see, that's what happens because you guys, we were level 4, you guys were fucking around getting fish and chips, and now look at us.
I think, I'm single-handedly responsible for that night I got fish and chips.
Hard out. Dan's just fucking eating. What do you have for dinner again, Dan?
Banh mi.
Oh, I love banh mi.
The fucking audience doesn't need to hear that twice. Dan, can you make a note of editing out when you talk about your dinner?
No, I reckon. Can you put reverb on it? So banh mi. Was that delay?
No, actually, I'm pro.
Delay.
I'm pro that idea.
Look, we're not all fucking audio engineers.
Can you put delay? Put delay on the whole episode.
Oh, that'd be
I can delay the whole episode.
Yeah, please.
All right, come on, let's get the show on the road. I've got to fucking go eat dinner. I'm starving. It's 9:18 over here.
I'm
really stoned.
Just a quick reminder. Last week, there's a bonus episode put out. If you want to hear the bonus episode, you need to sign up to the Patreon.
Get in there.
For as little as $1 a month. And we passed 50 patrons this week.
Yeah. Can you do the sound of guns firing? Do you know, I'm going to send you a podcast, Dan, where the producer does all this shit, and it's really good. And I just want you to listen and maybe think about stepping your game up a little bit.
I think it's funnier when you ask and I don't do it, though.
Yeah.
Put guns in there.
For you. Yeah, so thanks to all the patrons, thanks to all the listeners. We love you all very dearly. This is a heartfelt shout out to you all. Something I wanted to discuss real quickly, Dom. I don't want to delay your dinner.
Fuck.
But during the week, people may have seen a Candace Owens video, or you might not have seen it, and you might see people echoing sentiment from the Candace Owens video, where she's pretty much going on about, like, George Floyd shouldn't be a martyr, blah, blah, blah. And it's a really easy... I don't think our listeners need to be told that this is bullshit, but it's if you see people parroting these fucking sentiments from the Candace Owens video, it's really easy to fucking counter, because the thing is the people protesting have not made George Floyd a martyr. The fucking police who killed him made him a martyr. And if people don't want him to be a martyr, they need to talk to the police, not to the people protesting. And like fucking Candace Owens and whoever else wants an excuse for their fucking racism, they can view George Floyd as a criminal or whatever they want to. I can view him as a father with a small child who was killed needlessly. And whatever we think of his past is completely irrelevant. And no one is out protesting his reputation or for his past or saying he's an angel. People are saying cops should not murder people for no reason. And so it's such a ridiculous argument.
Yeah, and also, obviously pushing back on a system that's built on fucking racism and oppression and...
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that whole reputation thing, it's such a classic fucking move of the right, is sort of try and destroy someone's reputation to deflect from the fact that they suck.
It's so evil, so nasty. Like, yeah, that might be how you view George Floyd, but how do you think his daughter viewed him? And also, a martyr is like symbolic of something, and he's symbolic of something that's been happening for hundreds of years in America and around the world, and that's why he's so important.
And also, like, just say, I mean, who knows? I don't like, I know what she said he did, but I don't know what his actual crimes are. But just say if it's all those and more, You know what I mean? It's not like he's the only person that was killed. There's like all those other, like a lot of them children that were fucking murdered. And it's like, what had they done? You know, that guy that got shot when he was jogging just like a couple of weeks before that by those fucking rednecks. Like it's,
Yeah,
just trying to take someone's humanity from them.
Yeah, exactly.
Even after they've been murdered.
Yeah, and everyone's human, mistakes and all. And the other thing she did in that video was she talks about more white people are killed by police than black people, which is actually true, but it's a convenient stat to use because the likelihood, if you go by per capita, which is actually the relevant stat here, is that a black man is 2.4 times more likely to be killed than a white person by police. So, and
there's also people saying that the police should be disbanded for many reasons. You know, one of them, the obvious one's been that they keep murdering black people, but they also keep murdering lots of people, and they're fucking corrupt, and they don't work. They don't keep people safe, which is their whole function. Yeah. So it's not like. The
other insincere thing about like talking about white people murdered by police is that protest and change will also change that.
Exactly. Yeah.
it's not.
Exactly.
It's not like people protesting and wanting change in policing are saying, "Oh, but please keep killing white people."
Yeah.
That's.
Man, it's pretty inspiring though, man. Just the numbers in those protests is insane. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that.
It's crazy, isn't it? 15 or 20,000 in Melbourne on Saturday.
I reckon it was more than that.
Yeah, people were saying it was more, and it always seems to get downplayed, but huge nonetheless. So yeah, keep pushing, keep fucking swearing at cops.
Yep. If you get into any kind of trouble in Onehunga, go to Dan's house. You know where it is.
just knock on the door there.
Buzzer 5. Just ring it 3 times. You'll know it's you.
Well, should we get this one going?
Play the fucking music, Dan. Welcome back. A little bit older, a little bit uglier.
We couldn't get another producer, so Dan's back as well.
Look at this, Dan.
We can divulge all this now.
This is what Todd's been itching to get into.
I didn't necessarily like him, but I respected him.
Well, everyone needs jewelry.
He's a maniac.
Further to him crippled.
This is an audio podcast, Dom.
Sure. What do you think, Dan? How's it going?
Good, bro. How are you guys?
I'm fucking hungry.
Oh, I just had a mean feed. Lamb, potato salad. Whoo.
It's dinner time. What did you have for dinner, Dan?
Banh mi.
I was berating Dan because he was late, and I was worried you were going to turn up, Demi, and then Dan wouldn't be here.
Oh, nah. Island time, brother.
Yeah.
Hey, this isn't going in the podcast, eh?
This is going in the podcast. Why wouldn't it?
What everyone had for fucking dinner?
Oh, what? Like we did good to put that shit in our fucking podcast.
Hey, this is essential information.
Hard out.
Yeah,
all right, do the intro then, Todd, and we'll get going.
All right. Today's guest is Demi Hunziker. Hunziker.
Yeah.
She is a singer, activist. She recently launched a big OnlyFans page.
Richest person in New Zealand now.
And what else do you do? Oh, you used to be a flight attendant, hey?
Yeah, we're on stand down till December 31st, so that's kind of a catalyst for starting OnlyFans. I was like, shit, I ain't got no job.
Yeah.
Till next year.
Yeah, right.
And then you just crushed it, right? Aren't you one of the top?
Yeah, I'm the top 1.7% creators now.
Fuck, that's crazy.
Nuts,
I assume that's a lot of money then.
Yeah, G, you want to talk numbers or you want to talk numbers?
if you want to. Hell yeah.
I made 10K my first week.
Holy shit.
10K New Zealand, which was about 6.5 USD because it's all in US or pound. So when they convert it, it's like bam.
Yeah,
we get like $300
a
month from this, so same.
Nice.
I was just following your Twitter when you were launching and seeing the success of it, and I was like, fuck, I wish I was like sexy or someone wanted to.
You could totally. I mean, you might not be that successful, Todd, but I reckon if you wanted to get yourself greased up and jack off on camera, I reckon you could make some money.
My thing is that like it's such a big market, and everyone is into sexually, right? Everyone's into different things. So there definitely would, like, there's hella straight boys on there that make money from all the gay boys that love to follow them and interact with them. So it's
Yeah.
like there's these big black beautiful women. There's like just like little tiny skinny girls that like to do anime cosplay stuff. You know, there's just like such a variety of people. It's not just like the typical porn body, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's that model, right? Because it's direct to your customer without the filters of someone saying, "Nah, you can't do this," or "Nah, this isn't right about you. People don't want that."
Yeah.
Which I guess is the cool thing about it is that agency that the people creating whatever they're creating on there have over what they're delivering.
That's actually the best thing about it, and the safest thing about it too, because I used to be a stripper, and it's like I really equate it a lot to everything I learned stripping in the clubs to just transferring that information over to OnlyFans, but it's so much safer. You don't get rejected, you don't get harassed, people can't touch you, even if they're paying to touch you, right, in a lap dance, they can't touch you.
Yeah.
You could just put your phone down, and you don't have to reply to an idiot, or you could just block them, and then bam, they're gone. And it's all just power to the people creating their own content and stuff, you know, because they choose you. They don't have to pay to subscribe. They don't have to, but they've already done it, so they've chosen you. So you don't have that fear of rejection and shit.
Yeah.
So how much content do you have to put up?
Well, I kind of was waiting because I started it about longer than 5 weeks ago. Kind of when lockdown started, I was like, oh shit, I know I'm going to lose my job. Better have a backup plan. Just secured my name, but then never went through the final authentication process. But I was kind of waiting to see a Polynesian girl from either New Zealand or Australia have one before me so that I could ask them questions and kind of get a gauge of the market, like, oh, what's a good price to set your subscription fee at, la-di-da, like, how does it work? And luckily, the day I was about to actually apply for a office bullshit job, this girl messaged me and was hard out liking my stuff, so I followed her back, and then I saw in her bio OnlyFans that she was a poly girl from Aussie, so shout out to her, like, just fucking crushing it. She told me she made $35K her first month, and I was like, holy, that's what people make in a year, G. Like, she made it in a month.
Yeah.
So I got all the info from her and just watched like one YouTube video of this cool chick on a how-to OnlyFans, and then just launched it.
Damn. So you, fuck.
What are you drinking, Todd?
I was just pouring some water in my ashtray.
Into your beer?
No, into my ashtray.
Oh, okay.
So it didn't catch on.
Sorry, good. Continue.
Now I've totally lost my train of thought.
Well.
I had several questions while you were talking there, Demi. One... Fuck, I'm just going blank. Sorry. just before we came on tonight, or before you came in, I was telling everyone, I was like, man, I feel like I'm on tonight.
We on?
Yeah.
I didn't believe him though. Look at him.
Rightfully so. I guess, but what you're just saying, like, speaks to representation, right? And so seeing someone who represents you and that giving you that comfort to jump on in and yeah,
because it's a real sex and being positive about your body, and just even talking about sex is so taboo in Polynesian cultures. Like, because I'm Māori and Samoan, and on both sides of the family, it's real hush hush. And, you know, even before I had an OnlyFans and I'd post something pretty risque on Instagram, I'd get messages from family members like, what are you doing? You should value yourself. And da-da-da-da-da. I'd just tell them, shut up. But, you know, a lot of it is to do with representation, because I was like, even when I was talking on Twitter about it, I was like, yo, I want to be the first brackets known Polynesian girl on OnlyFans, because I'm sure there's people in New Zealand like that have already started theirs. But, you know, it's just because I'm just loud about everything, so I was loud about that. So now it's pretty obvious that I'm, like, the quotation marks, first.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know?
So in regards to family and that sort of stuff, because obviously that's a consideration you got to make, right?
Yeah.
Jumping into it. Do you have support from family, or is it...
I think the shock factor went away with my family when I told them I was going to start stripping a couple of years ago.
Yeah, right.
But if anything, even then, they weren't, like, my mum was a bit angry because she's a little bit more old-fashioned, but my dad was like, just make sure you're safe, like, because a lot of dodgy shit happens. You might be okay in the club, but when you're leaving the club, you know, some shit might happen.
Yeah.
So for them, it was just about making sure I was safe, I guess, and my mum making sure that I knew my value. So the shock factor of getting into sex work was already gone. So I didn't even really have to tell them that I was doing OnlyFans. I just posted up on Instagram and then had some convos with them, and they were all good about it. Like, my dad was unreal supportive.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I saw you posting that. That was awesome.
Yeah, screenshots of my dad, like, just fucking having my back, talking about, well, it wasn't that long ago that men's balls hung longer than their muddle and women's boobs were out and it was all good. I'm like, yeah, that's my dad.
Yeah, that's so fucking cool and important. I think, like, because growing up as a man, right, you get fed all this bullshit about, like, even before I think you can probably have sex, you get taught about, like, these ideas about what being a father is and shit.
Yeah.
And what your role is as a father. And it's all this nonsense about fucking, like, staunching out boyfriends and...
Like, why?
You know, yeah, and bullshit. But that approach of your dad is like, I just care if you're safe. And, like, you'll learn the things you need to learn yourself. And I'm not here to fucking, like... I don't know, control your life or... Yeah,
my dad, you probably hate me for saying this, but my dad was like, shit, if I could make money sitting at home sending dick pics, I would, but nobody wants to see that shit. My brother was like, after I'd been on a couple days, you know, and then I was sending my brother screenshots of how much money I was making, he was like, shit, if I could send pics of my buckhole and make 4K, I would. You know, like, my family's just crack up and supportive.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
But not everyone has been, but for the most part, they're just going on their own journey of unlearning, like, just like the patriarchy's ideals, really. Because I used to think like that as a woman, you know, like, oh, sex is sacred and your body's a temple and your first time has to be special. Like, all that bullshit that they don't teach boys, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so, like, speaking of that conditioning we get as men, for a woman, there must be a lot of conditioning you have to confront to begin sex work, right? Like,
yeah, bro.
The idea that it's dirty, that it's wrong, because I'm sure you get taught that all your life.
Yeah, for sure. Those girls are like the hoes, or they'll never be like wifey material type of shit. But I don't know. I started that process pretty young, I guess. Like 20s, yeah. Like when I was around 20. And then I just kind of was like, you know what, there's so much to unlearn. Like, why are we stigmatizing shit that's normal? Like, I remember knowing that one of the oldest occupations in the world is prostitution, and I just thought, I was like, oh, well, that fucking makes sense. People always want to have sex, but they should pay for it. Like, I remember thinking that was like a buzzy fact when I was young.
Well, about prostitution being...
Yeah, like being like the oldest occupation or something, and I was like, that actually makes hella sense to me.
Yeah.
Well, growing up, it's like some of the only people I knew that had any money were all sex workers. And like a couple of guys as well. You know what I mean? It was like...
Dom dated a sex worker and he thought she had a job working on computers late at night.
She was an IT freak.
Yeah. She's just doing IT at midnight.
I was real young, by the way.
Oh, bless your heart. When you found out, were you butthurt or anything? Or were you
I wasn't anti-sex work at all. I was just like, why didn't you tell me? It was just weird. You know what I mean?
She probably didn't tell you because of the shame around it, you know? It's not real shame, it's bullshit society shame, but
especially back then, you know, because it was like way less enlightened than we are now.
Decades ago.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Damn, how old are you?
Fuck. We're old. Yeah.
No,
elderly gentlemen.
We're pretty washed.
Hey, Dan.
Sure.
You still look youthful, though, Dan. There's a dark lighting.
Does, actually.
Thanks.
So, like, massive victory today with arms down.
Yes.
No guns
it's
for
still
cops.
FTP, though.
Oh,
hard
yeah.
out. Yeah, it's funny, before you came on, we're talking, because a few weeks ago, we're talking about maybe we should get a cop on here to talk to them. And then now it's like, nah, fuck this shit.
Let it bolt.
Yeah, I think, like, and that's funny, because, like, man, this the history of this podcast has been so anti-police, but we're toyed with this idea of getting a cop on because, you know, we kind of want to engage with people who aren't, you know, of the same mind frame in politics as us. But just this week has really solidified for me, and I think probably for the rest of us, it's like, nah, fuck them. They're like,
they never cared about us.
Yeah, we don't need to hear from them now.
I also think, like, as far as getting people with different mindsets on, is like, there's so much other media that they can go on and talk and fucking spread their propaganda. You know what I mean? I think it's all right to have spaces where you're not gonna have that.
Yeah, for real.
If I saw you guys had a cop on, I would think you were selling out, to be honest.
Yeah.
For shade. I'd be like, why? It's fuck the system, and the cops work for the system. They don't, you know what I mean? I'm like, why? And I've got cops in my family. Like, sure, there can be good cops, but I mean, what's one good cop in the system of shithead ones?
Yeah, and there's been so many examples in this last week or so of like of PR and promo of this idea of good cops, and then like the amounts of examples of them like showing their true colors has just been insane. Like, they're really pigging.
I always say that police are the biggest gang on the planet because no matter where you go, they're the same.
Yeah, I agree totally. I think
there's something especially terrifying about the cops in the States, though.
Oh hell yeah, bro! I feel for our black whānau and stuff over there living in fear.
It's crazy. Like when you read someone's account or like see someone retell an encounter of police, like a African American, and fuck, man, have you guys seen the one that was written and it was like this guy? I think he was a lecturer at some school or uni, and he talked about getting pulled up, and he saw like a black woman, and she stopped down the road and was just watching, like an old lady. And he was like saying how in his mind he was like praying that she would like stay there and not leave, that she would continue to watch, and just, you know, feeling that fucking vulnerable. And it was heart-wrenching to read that shit.
Yeah, bro, I listened to Soraya did a little BFM radio chat thing. She had her dad on and stuff, and he was talking about police brutality and the march. He marched in Selma, and then he did Black Lives Matter in Aotearoa like so many years later. I'm like, whoa. And then just even her experience, her dad telling her, oh, cops are not like they are in New Zealand. In America, you got to be really careful. And then Soraya talking about, you know, one time she got pulled over, she had a big flashlight in her face, and she hadn't done anything wrong, but she felt like she had done something wrong. Like, that's the way they... And then she was scared. I was like, man, that's out of it. Because in New Zealand, if the cops give you shit, I'll give them lip back. Like,
yeah. I was explaining that to someone this week, someone here. I was just like, oh, in New Zealand, you can tell a cop to get fucked.
Well, I guess that's the difference with them not having guns, right?
Yeah.
Because, you know, you'd be a lot less likely. Because I remember when we were in Melbourne, Todd, and you were talking, there was all those cops, and you were like giving them shit and stuff, and being like, oh, if you didn't have a fucking gun.
Well, after we marched,
That was that time you attacked that guy wearing your t-shirt with your face on it.
Oh, it was the same night. Yeah. Should I tell that story?
Oh, I'd love to hear it. Why was someone wearing your face?
He used to be famous.
I had these t-shirts that had my face on it, and it was kind of like changed into a skull or something. But I went up to the merch desk, and my manager was doing my merch, and she was a woman, and she was like, oh, this guy just threatened me, blah, blah, blah. He had that t-shirt with your face on it. He's out in the parking lot. And so I just went out and beat up this guy who was a fan who had my t-shirt on. And
that wasn't even the story I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
I was into that story. Take my t-shirt off. Get my face off your chest.
Oh, here's bleeding on it. And I was like, stop bleeding on me.
No, there was that time we were at that club and we got kicked out in Melbourne, and then we're just out on the street, and someone walked past that had your shirt, and he stopped and he was staring at you because obviously he recognized you, and you threw your light at him, and he's like, what are you fucking looking at? And he was just like, look, us, we just, you know, I got your face on me.
Fuck, I've like...
It's weird.
We were quite high.
I was the worst though, man. Like, Cause of where I came from, I was like, I don't know, just like I thought people staring was confrontation, and like I never got real famous, so I was never like recognized everywhere. But on a few occasions, I've had people staring at me, and I'm like, this cunt wants to fight me. And then I'll just react in the normal way, and then they'll be like, "Oh, hey man, you're Louis Knox, eh?" I'm like, oh fuck, sorry. It's really, really terrible.
People in Australia love staring, though.
Do they?
Yeah, they got eye problems over there.
Yeah.
Not as much as Germany.
Oh, really?
Have you been there?
Nah, not yet. I was supposed to do Europe this year, but hello, Corona.
Fuck. Yeah.
Well, now you're rich. You can go when the borders open up again.
Exactly.
Will you go back to flying?
Yeah, if they take me, because I've been pretty loud about OnlyFans. But you know what? Low-key in the airline industry, sex work is really prominent.
Yeah, right.
Like, all the girls, like, there's, like, down to fetish shit. Like, there's men who will hit up flight attendants and be like, I just want to buy your stockings that you've worn for 14 hours.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, like, and girls don't think that's sex work, but technically that is under the umbrella of sex work. Do you know what I mean? But, you know, then there's girls who are escorts on the side, always dipping into these hotels, having, like, no judgment, no shade. But that's actually a thing in the airline industry. I'm just scared that if they find out about my OnlyFans, they'll be like, oh, you're not representing the brand.
Would Could they actually do that?
Yeah, bro.
Damn.
Any job can do that. That's the shit thing about sex work, right? It's like, okay, let's say you work in an office and you're just a secretary, and then part-time on the weekends to get some more money, you strip. The chairman of the board who will come to the strip club will not lose his job or have a disciplinary meeting about going to a strip club, but the little receptionist will get called in and be like, oh, we don't think you're representing us, people might recognize you from the blah blah office. And I've got friends who can't even post semi-sexy pictures on Instagram because their companies will see it and think it's not a good representation, and they could have disciplinaries or lose their job. Like, that's another thing that's just so fucked up about it.
That seems like it should not be legal.
Yeah, but we all sign contracts and there's little clauses in there. Yeah,
crazy. Another thing I wanted to ask you about, because this is something I'd wondered about OnlyFans, because you were talking about like the toll working in the club can take, like the different reasons that can be draining or arduous. Is the fact that, because when sometimes I got messages from friends and I don't want to read, and if I don't open them, it stresses me. Is there a stress? Is there a stress in that way with OnlyFans? Nah, because
I think because the people that follow me on OnlyFans, they've only followed me because they know my Instagram or they know my Twitter, so they know how loud I am about everything in general. So they kind of know my personality. So I told them, I started my OnlyFans on Monday, and then on Friday I told them, hey guys, I'm taking a few days off because if you follow me, which they do, on my other social medias, you'll know why. Like, I'm just really ramped up about Black Lives Matter, and a portion of my tips and stuff is going to get donated to that. And then I didn't check in with them for a few days, and they understood, and they're fine because they know what I'm like, I guess, because I haven't cracked the international market yet, so it's still pretty localish.
Yeah,
so they're actually all good with it. Me taking breaks off and not messaging, not replying back.
And it sounds like you might be able to dictate that and control it as well, right?
Yeah. I don't get any form of anxiety from not opening the messages or anything. Because to me, I'm just like, oh, it's still just a side hustle, even though now it's my main source of income. I'm just like, yo, I'll just jump in bed, jump on my phone, reply to a few messages, slang some nudes, easy lulls.
Yeah, me. I think I saw a video of you from the march, and you were pretty active there. Like, there's a few videos. One of you yelling at a cop car, pointing aggressively, which I enjoyed. And another video of you in the haka. Like, where were you introduced to activism? I think is the question.
I guess like a real journalist question, Todd.
Thank you.
Whoa, he is on tonight.
Man, he's stepping up.
I'm coming back.
Sorry, Demi, you go.
No, it's all good. I guess I just come from quite a political family in terms of activism. Like, my nan my nan, back in the mid-'80s, she started the first ever kohanga reo for gang kids because none of the other kohanga reo would take them because of what their parents did.
Wow.
And it was in Christchurch, and it was mostly for the Black Power kids, but, even some of the other gangs kids came. And, I always call her the matriarch of my family because she just held everything together. And even to before she passed and she was still, getting a bit frail, she'd still pull up to every single protest.
Yeah.
Every protest, I'd see her and I'd go with her, you know what I mean? And she'd always be with, some sort of korowai, some weapon, like her tefa, which is like like an axe type of thing.
Yeah.
Anything. And she'd always just be hearty, and that's just how we just come from, that kind of a family,
Yeah.
So it was normal to be anti the system and anti-colonization and anti the crown, and so it just kind of translated as I grew up and read more, and obviously now I'm just raging on the street. So many people said they saw me at the protest. I did not see anyone because I was just seeing red.
Too focused.
The whole protest was just walking, chanting, crying, feeling angry. Then we got to the embassy, and then it was time for us to do the haka that I'd organised, and then just let it all out, and they had a big cry, and then we all just turned up, and I was like, oh, this is just a full range of emotions.
Fuck yeah, that sounds like a big day.
Don't you reckon it was
massive.
crazy how few cops there were there?
Yeah, they knew to stay away.
But it's just, I've never been to a protest like that. I think I saw 4 cops the whole time I was there.
Yeah.
There was lots in Melbourne, but they're obviously under instruction not to insert themselves.
Yeah.
It must have been hard for them, eh?
Oh, it's bad optics.
hell yeah.
That's all they're thinking about.
Yeah.
Well, there were those armed cops on Anzac Ave, eh? That were hiding. Did you hear about that? Someone took photos of them. So obviously there were cops, but they were
yeah. Just ready to pop out.
Yeah, I saw a video from one of the Aussie protests. Can't remember which one it was, but the cops had blocked off a whole group of protesters.
It was in Sydney, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, so it was in Sydney? Yeah, and they were not letting them rejoin and just being out of it, cunts.
They trapped them in the train station.
Yeah.
And pepper sprayed them. There's some there's some accounts, written accounts of people who were there who were watching from a bridge how they kind of what's the word, herded them in there and kept them in there and shit. It's fucking...
That's what they do, though.
Yeah.
I remember that shit from when I was a kid growing up in Christchurch. The party would get cut, and the police aren't worried about kids getting drunk, teenagers getting home safely. What they used to do is they'd form a line. They'd all stand there, and they'd walk, and they'd march, and everyone would just get pushed. No matter if your friends were on the other side of the street and you're on the other side, you just got split up. They didn't give a fuck, and they just used to march all in a line, go home, go home, go home, and fuck, they were assholes. Sorry, lots of expletives.
Yeah. Oh, we have plenty of those on here. It's
So
fine.
good. I remember being at this protest in Melbourne years ago, and it was when the detention centres was sort of relatively new, and we were blocking this entrance so the immigration minister couldn't get in, and the police were on horses and they kept on riding at the line of protesters, and then all of a sudden everyone just opened up, and this one police horse rode in, and they grabbed the police person off right next to me and just beat the shit out of them, and I was kind of standing there, and it was me and my ex, and I was just like, oh man, this is quite intense.
Shit is getting real.
Yeah.
Fuck, see, that's what I'm hoping for at the march, but obviously it's not about me, and but fuck, I want some confrontation when I go there.
Yeah, they didn't, though, because it would have just... Any tiny thing they would have done would have just been slandered against them, and it would have been made about that and not about what the cope-up actually was.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's also that they're outnumbered, because you go to a protest where the cops outnumber you, and it's a whole other story.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I saw because a lot of the cops at the Melbourne one, they had those plastic looking shields.
Yeah.
Not sure what they're made of, but we're leaving to go get some dinner afterwards, and there was heaps of them just with these suitcases with the shields on top of them. I started yelling at them, is that where you keep all your racism? No, surprisingly, they weren't interested in
They didn't want to have a chat with you.
Nah,
They didn't want the smoke.
Nah. Usually they do in Australia. I think they're knocked off, I guess. time to go home.
Yeah, oh yeah, I like popping off at cops. And my uncle's a cop, bro. I saw my uncle the other day pulling out of my auntie's driveway, and he stopped, wound on the window, and I went, "Hey, fuck the police!" And then he just cracked up and drove off. Like, they know what I'm about.
Yeah. Man, that must be... Yeah, I can't imagine, like... Because, family's family, right? And regardless of choices they make that you might disagree with, they're still your family.
Yeah.
Must be an interesting dynamic.
It is, like, in terms of, like, if we ever have trouble within the family or one of us going through shit, we don't ever call the cops, but we'll ask him, hey, what is, like, the kind of legal standpoint, or what could a cop do in this situation? And if it's not enough, which it usually is never enough, then we're just like, okay, cool, good to know. So it's good. It's almost good in that sense to have, like, that person on the inside, I guess.
So you can deal with police, but without actually dealing with them.
Yeah, like he's like a good cop. I know that sounds whack, but he's like, oh, we'll pull over the mamas and see they got no off, no reg, and be like, okay, just get it sorted, mama, like, and just like he's not a I think it's because he's brown too.
You're gonna get him. in trouble.
No one knows who he is. No names.
I was at a social gathering a while ago, and there was a cop there, and like the person who invited me said, "Oh, look, there's gonna be a cop there, but just be nice, like don't." And I was like, "Oh, fuck." And they were just like a caricature of a fucking cop, you know what I mean? Like just making horrible jokes about mentally ill people, and then getting really pissed and falling over and being a prick. And I was just like, fuck, man. You know what I mean? And anyway.
Nah, yeah. Did you see that story a couple weeks ago of that cop who raped another cop?
No.
Nah.
You didn't see that? In New Zealand. They were off on a wee cop trip. And whatever they do, who knows? You know how they go in their little...
Yeah. I like to call it that. I imagine them, but like they go in a smaller cop car or something. Or maybe
family van version of a cop car.
Camper van cop car.
This poor woman denied him because they were both in relationships. So she denied him. They had some drinks, went back to her motel room or wherever the fuck they stay. And then he creeped into her room and raped her, and she woke up to him fucking her. And then she had to go through the whole cop system, and then his name suppression got lifted because I think it must have happened like over a year ago or something. But then the articles were all in Stuff, Herald. And I was just like, see, this is why it's fuck cops, bro, because they know that they can get away with shit, and they do. And he's a cop, and he catches rapists, and what is he doing? He's being a raper.
Yeah. Well, there's something to be said, right? If you were handed the kind of the wheels of justice and law, if you feel like you're in charge of the law and dishing it out where you please, it's unreasonable power for people to have, and especially the sort of people that the police force might draw in. Like, did you see? I've seen so much stuff this week, but the second biggest complaint in the States against police is sexual assaults.
Yep.
And just fuck, like they feel above the law. And
it's still, I was seeing some tweets and stuff about it. It's legal in 35 states in America for police to have sexual relations with their inmates or people that they lock up.
At their place of work, I think it is.
It's legal.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah. So there's there's an obvious reason for that, right?
But don't you think just any power, it just fucks people up, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, who do you know that gets any kind of power and is
so
reasonable?
With power needs to come equal accountability, right? Which is how in a perfect world community protection and policing would work. Because I was trying to explain to someone the other day, because they're like, oh, what happens if you abolish police? I was like, well, say this neighborhood we live in.
Fucking Todd and Louie would come around and sort it out.
Yeah. we have a community meeting. And
community beating.
Some people are nominated. And
I love how you pretend to be fucking reasonable at all in this situation. You'd love a bit of vigilantism.
Yeah.
You're fucking itching for it.
Bro, I'm a Libra. I'm fair.
All about the scales, he reckons. Libra.
Yeah.
Come on now.
But you know,
Don't lie in front of our guest.
What's that called though? Restorative justice type of stuff.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Like your
Is that what you're getting at?
yeah, your local policeman should be someone who lives in your neighborhood who you can pop over to his house. You know, like his door should be open to you and the community, and vice versa.
Well, I remember reading about this just years ago. I think it was Chomsky was talking about like alternative forms of policing and what it could look like, and he was saying, you know, at the end of the day, you never really know how these things are going to play out. But he was saying one thing would be that the police would be elected, and then they would be recallable. So, like, just say if you elect someone and they're going around being a fuckwit, and enough people vote, they'll lose their job. And
Yeah,
Yep. I think going back onto your power topic, why they feel they have so much power is because they're not accountable to anyone. Because I watched this after, a day after, I think, the Black Lives Matter march that we had in Tamaki Makaurau. I saw Jacinda being interviewed, and she said, I'm just reading from my bloody phone, it's not for the government to instruct police on how they should enforce. And that just really fucked me up. I was like, well, if it's not for the government to tell police how they should be enforcing, then it's up to the police, right? And the police commissioner literally just said, oh, we know we have an unconscious bias, which is AKA racism. We know that.
which he
So,
says.
so I'm like,
is
okay,
not
Cindy,
racism.
how do you think they're going to enforce if they're even saying they'd have an unconscious bias? Like,
Yeah,
that's because they're no accountability to anyone.
Yeah, I was really taken aback by that. And Stuart Nash, is he the Minister of Police or whatever the title is, just straight up saying, oh, there may be unconscious bias, and denying that there's no racism. He's a Labour MP, the supposed like leftist progressive party of Aotearoa. And man, like, that guy needs to fucking go. Like, if he can't admit, like, it's in the statistics. Like, you can't deny that there's fucking racism in the New Zealand police force. There's like facts and statistics that back that up. And
but this Labour government is obviously just not ready to confront any of that, right? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, obviously they did a great job with COVID and all these crises that Jacinda's dealt with. She's been really amazing. But anything that has any kind of social change, they just complete cowards, you know?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that brings me to something else I want to talk about tonight.
Is this the warehouse?
Well, so, you know, I don't want to talk about the warehouse, but before that, so
Funny.
yeah,
All right.
we'll get to that in a second. But
All the hot topics.
so that you know, all this shit has happened in the last couple of weeks, and there's been, you know, the marches, online activism. There's been a lot, and you know, I think for lots of people, including myself, it's wondering, okay, what are next steps? How can you do more? And I think looking, especially in Aotearoa, with an election coming up, it's like, look at the parties and politicians who are on the right side of these issues, which are massive at the moment. And for me, that's the Green Party. And like, I think this election, there's going to be the comfort of like, because National are fucking flummoxing. So I think if you're a fence sitter between Labour and Green, fucking vote Green. And if you have an opportunity, like, Labour can afford to lose some support to the Greens this time.
Yeah, but they need more seats.
Yeah, and the Greens need more seats. We need more of their influence this time around, because they are on the right side of everything that happens. Like,
Oh, not the COVID-19 bill. I was pissed off that Marama Davidson passed that.
what
A
was
lot
that?
of the Green, that was that COVID-19 bill that they passed to say that police could enter with no warrants, and they had the word marae in there, and then they took it out, and then they said, oh no, but it's technically marae, yet we still can come into. I'm like, no, police should never be able to enter anywhere without a warrant. Like, no.
How much say did the Greens have in that?
I don't know, but I think it was individual votes, and I remember looking at the list and seeing Green MPs on there and being pissed off.
Oh shit! Right.
But that's the thing, man, is like, under the current system, they're always going to let you down, you know, because the system itself is fucked. So it's, as we talked about this last week, you know, I think part of the job is to obviously vote people like that in, but then also, you know, to do all the other shit too, because...
Yeah. and the campaigning and the holding these people accountable as well too.
Yeah.
And I think trying to figure out like what's, you know, the best way to speak out about that stuff, you know, whether that suits the individual, you know, so whether that's through art or whether that's on social media or whether that's however you're going to do that, you know. Start a stupid
I've just
podcast.
been raging, eh?
Yeah, no, you're great on
I'm just a rager. I don't know how to be any other way. I'm like, you know what? I'll leave it to my academic friends and the academic smart people that know the real shit about what to do next. So I'm just gonna rage on from now, and I'll blame everyone. I'll roast anyone. I roasted Taika Waititi last week. I've roasted Jacinda Ardern. I roasted a streetwear brand into bloody donating and making a statement. I'm still never buying shit from them.
Yeah.
All I do is rage, bro.
Did you see they put out that real nice tracksuit today though? I was looking at that and I was like, fuck
No,
it,
it
man.
is the devil.
I'm not.
Where's a good place to buy a tracksuit? I've been
not
trying to
buying
buy
it.
one.
Not the warehouse.
Nice segue, bro. Nice segue.
Yeah. Do we want to?
If any of the listeners know where to get a good tracksuit, hit me up.
Yeah, right in. Make
I
a
want a
note.
velour one, like an old school.
I've got a
one.
velour tracksuit.
Yeah, so's my flatmate.
Ooh.
Burgundy one. It's very lovely.
But it's hard to find tracksuits.
I'd go like, I don't know.
Send me some links.
ASOS has some.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know if they're
So,
problematic, but ASOS has heaps
Fuck,
of tracksuits matching.
Everywhere's every clothing line's
Yeah, you
problematic.
know what? Yeah, there we go.
Or any that's affordable.
So
Yep.
the warehouse this week, what do they say? They're going to make 1,000 layoffs.
Yeah.
And
Fuck.
just to give that some extra context, the warehouse makes $80 million a year, roughly. They just received 67 point something million dollars in the wage subsidy, the most anyone got.
How much?
67 million.
67. So they make 80 a year and they got 67. So
Yeah, I can't figure out the math on that.
what?
That's out the gate.
At most, they've lost like 17 million. No, not even like 13
No,
million.
no, because
They're still going to make the money
they're
back,
still
though.
making they're still making profits as well. They said that they also said that they're doing better than they expected to do.
Fuck, maybe you and Louis should go and give them a
COVID.
hiding.
Well, yeah.
Vigilante boys.
And Jacinda's pissed.
I'll wait in the
and
car.
Jacinda's pissed and she's speaking out about it, which is really good. And fucking National MP Paul Goldsmith said she should stick to knitting. And then David Seymour comes out and says, not only women knit, he's inserted himself into this. So it's all fucking political horse shit, really.
God.
But the
Trying to distract us.
yeah, it's wild, isn't it? But the warehouse are fucking nasty, man. Like,
Yeah,
they do a lot of philanthropy, and it's probably to avoid paying tax. But even if it's not, they can fucking afford it. And there's fucking trickery going on here, you know. Like I've actually sat in meetings with the Tyndall Foundation, and to get funding for a youth service I was working with, and I've seen like the destruction they cause in small towns, like running out small business when they open up in Te Kuiti or, you know, wherever. Like, they're fucking nasty, and they shouldn't get $70 million and then be laying people off. It's so fucked. So, fuck the Tyndalls, fuck the warehouse. If you have opportunity, like, pay more and go to someone local.
Hard out.
Like, it's really hard to avoid the warehouse because, you know, it's so
Especially when you're broke.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
It's so convenient. But if you can afford to, fucking don't give them your business.
That reminds me of, I just went to this other picket, not a protest or a march, just a picket. We're outside, this was a couple of days ago. We're outside Temper Zone, an air conditioning place out in Mangere. And most of the workers there are Māori or PI. And they were protesting because their owners made them all take annual leave instead of paying them the wage subsidy. And then by the time they applied for the wage subsidy, they pocketed most of it. They made millions, at least 2 million, instead of paying the workers their wages. And then they're all using their annual leave, and then now they don't have any annual leave for Christmas time. And then they laid off about 80 employees. So we're all out there picketing that. I was just in there buttering bread for 2 hours, making some new aunties. Had a sausage sizzle going, chanting, toot if you're against temper zone type of shit. But I mean, that's what I mean. It's like so many companies, not just the warehouse, but like a lot of companies have been taking that old your auntie Cinder's money and not giving it back to the people.
Yeah, I think
it'll be really interesting if there's any like recourse, like if they come back on them about that, you know, because they're saying they're going to audit all the individuals.
Yeah.
So they better be fucking auditing all those businesses.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I know all the
sure.
freelancers are worried because they took that 7K and then maybe didn't save the tax that they know they have to pay back. And IRD's the worst people to owe money to.
Yeah,
tell me about it.
Dom owes them $14,000.
They sent me another letter today.
Nice.
I think that's something to be wary of in this time too.
Paying tax.
But if you see a business like saying that they support
fuck that shit.
social cause, they are protecting their money. Like 99 times out of 100, there's some businesses out there.
Well, small business is different, but like the big corporations.
I also saw someone describe it well too, and they were like, the way to gauge it is like, is the business, did it come into the world? Was its genesis birthed around these ideals and ideas? Because then you can probably trust them. But if not, then probably not.
Oh, it's just a PR stunt. You know that those companies are not writing it. They've got bloody PR teams and shit doing their statements and posting their little ugly black squares.
Yeah. Well, while we're on that too, because like watching what's happening in the States. Oh, did you guys see the Democrats today? Oh, so they all like put on kente cloth, which for people who aren't familiar is like African cloth.
Yeah, no, I did see that. I thought that was a parody. Did it actually happen?
No, it's real. It's fucking real.
We're living in a Black Mirror episode, bro.
Bro, hard out. Like this actually just looks like satire, and they nailed for the amount of time that the cop nailed on George Floyd, and at the same time they simultaneously released a plan that was like a police reform plan, and ways you can tell that someone talking about these things wants everything to remain exactly the same is they'll talk about things that have already been like talked about for decades. So they're talking about, oh, we're going to retrain the police. We're going to buy more body cams. And
they just turn this shit off.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you mean the same body cams that at the moment they turn off or fucking leave on because they feel like...
Yeah, nothing happens.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so anyone talking that sort of shit...
I can't believe that's real. I was just like, oh, that's a funny joke. It's like...
it's dead.
It's way off too. Like, what the fuck does... I'm not sure what tribe or what country that comes from, but what does the African attire, cultural attire, have to do with black African Americans and police brutality? I'm like, where?
Yeah.
Who thought that was a good idea?
From my understanding, or I know that at least I know Ghana has kente cloth.
Oh yeah.
Because my friend she's from England, but her family's from Ghana, and she bought me a dashiki once, and I was like,
were you too ashamed to wear it?
Nah, like I'm down to wear it, but I'm like, if I wear it, I was like, if I walk around with you and I wear it, will you mind? She was like, nah, I don't give a fuck. I was like, I'm gonna look funny if I just wear this out by myself.
I give everyone side eyes if I see them wearing dashikis. I'm not even any African, but I'm just like, gee, that's out of it. Like if I saw someone just in Bali, because they sell them at the markets and shit. If I saw someone in Bali wearing like a pew or a korowai because they thought it just looked cool, I'd be like, take that shit off. Yeah.
I was at a club once. I'm trying to remember who I was with, and my dad was coming, and the friend I was with, who was it? But they were of African descent anyway. And my dad walks in with a dashiki on. And I was just like, oh shit. It was like some shit out of fucking Curb Your Enthusiasm. Shout out to my dad if he's listening. What a legend.
I'm sure your dad's heart was in, the right place. It's just weird because we live in a world where you can't see what someone's intentions are. All you
Yeah,
see is their
yeah.
actions. So even me, like my heart could be in the right place. If I say something out of line, I'm like, yo, call me out. Because I know how I meant it, but I can understand how other people could take it, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
For sure.
Well,
Where we at
Wonder-
for time, Dan?
Whoa, can you hear that
50.
screaming?
Yeah, is that from your neighbours?
Their neighbours.
Yeah, I think so.
Is it your junkie neighbours?
I think they might be smoking some meth.
True.
are you in Melbourne still?
Yeah, I'm over here.
Oh, true.
Yeah, it's living
They
large.
call it ice over there, brother.
Oh, yeah, sorry. The ice. Does it sound cooler or worse? I don't know.
I think they all sound bad, bro.
Yeah, it doesn't sound
Todd
good,
was just
does
saying
it?
he would like a little. You should go and ask them for some.
Demi, I got
Hey
a
guys.
question.
Okay, no, go on.
Demi, I got a question for you.
Yo, fire.
If I talk about boy smell, do you know what that is?
Boy smell?
Yeah.
No idea. Is this something to do with a penis?
No, not at all.
My mind went like,
Yeah.
oh my god, a dirty penis.
Get your mind out of the gutter.
Oh, well.
I don't know what penises you've been fraternizing with, but no, so I was talking with a woman recently. She was like, you know, when you go in a boy's room and it has boy smell.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
actually, I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
In the context. Yep, boy
Yeah.
smell. Definitely a real thing. Light a
Yeah.
candle. Buy a lamp. Come on, bro.
I've got a diffuser, which I think is the one.
Your voice smelled quite nice though.
Yeah, I get told that, but
So does Dan. Dan's always smelled quite nice.
Yeah, Dan's house smells nice, like the entire house.
I always worry about that. Does my house
Yeah.
stink?
Yeah,
I was teaching a writing class last night, and I was like, "Fuck, I think I smell like piss. Like, what do I smell like piss for?" And the whole time I was freaking out that I smelled like piss. And then all the students left, and I realized it was just the room.
Oh,
I just assumed it was me.
Galify.
you should
Why do
have.
you think it was you?
I don't know. I was just, and it was a new class too. They'd never met me before, and I was like, "Man, I'm teaching this class, and I smell like piss."
They might like
Fuck.
that. They
That
might.
pissy poet.
Yeah,
They might like that though, because you know Bukowski looks like he smelled like urine all the time.
yeah. Well, I'm not trying to fucking emulate Bukowski, am I?
No, but you know it's a vibe.
Hey, can I just say, Dom, you're my favourite poet?
Thank you.
Hey.
Not that I'm well versed in poetry and have read heaps. Every time you write something, I just feel it in my heart. I'm like, yo. Like, I've cried over your poems before, not to be that guy.
That's lovely.
You hear
But I
that,
think-
Dan?
But I think that's what
Good. That was
I
nice.
think. I think that's what Dom does well, right, Demi? Is he like? Because I'm not versed in poetry either, but what he does is makes it accessible for people
Yep.
who might not be familiar with the art form. Like,
I'll let you in on a secret. Most poetry sucks.
Hey, there we go.
are you drinking
Nice.
olive oil?
Is that vinegar?
Yeah,
to-
what's...
Weed oil.
Oh,
CBD.
Yeah.
Apparently that's real good for anxiety, eh?
yeah,
And sore muscles and shit.
Yeah.
Like, you can...
yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
gotta
No, it's
get me
good.
some.
Good for everything,
Yo.
apart from maybe podcasting coherently. But you
Hey,
know,
look.
our audience knows what they're getting into.
Hey, look, you're doing great, Dom.
Thank you.
This is my first ever podcast, by the way. I feel like I'm
Really?
just talking shit with me mates.
That's what a
Yeah.
podcast is.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there we go.
What does someone describe it as? Like a friendship simulator.
What?
A friendship
Sounds
simulator.
weird, bro.
So when you listen to a podcast, it's like you got. Oh, don't worry.
I see
And
what you mean. Oh, yeah.
Not many people know this, but like Dan, Dom, myself, kind of all our friends abandoned us, and that's why we started up a podcast, because we're like, we'll just invite people on that we want a friend trap.
You're our friend now. One of us.
Yeah.
One of us.
So now, according to how many episodes we got like a lot of friends now.
Like 70 odd friends.
Yeah.
Boys.
It's weird though when you see someone that's been on the podcast, like back in the day when we used to have it in person, and you'd feel quite close to them, and you'd see them out, and it wouldn't. You know, they were obviously like, nah, we're on the clock now. I had to give a couple of guests.
Harsh.
I was like, oh, okay.
You know who didn't do that to me?
Who's that?
The Prime Minister.
Your Auntie Cindy.
Yeah,
She-
because we had her on, and then I saw her. She spoke at a thing in New Plymouth, and she came up and very pointedly gave me some of her time, and spoke
Yeah.
like we're old friends, which I think is maybe a skill she's acquired. But
Yeah, I think she's really personable, eh?
That's-
And her
Oh, hell
kindness
yeah.
politics things does seem hella genuine. Like, it really does come from
Yeah,
that kind of place. But I'm just like, hey, can you get it right on majority of the issues and not just some?
Yeah, for real. Yeah, but
Otherwise, she's going to get the smoke online.
she's gonna catch it.
Oh, I'm not looking forward to when I bump into her again. It's going to be awkward.
Because of the things you've said.
Yeah.
Do you tag her in the things you say? Because I
Nah,
tag her in everything I say, G.
Other people do. Because when you write a poem, it's kind of like, it's not literal. It's not literally what I think. It's kind of an approximation. You know what I mean? Or it's a feeling. And then people tag you in and be like, tag whoever, and be like, look what he thinks. And it's like,
But I think that's good though, right? I think the people she's encountered or met in person probably have the most responsibility to keep her accountable.
But I guess if I was going to do that, because I was actually thinking of doing a poem which is kind of an open letter and sort of talking about like times that we'd met and interactions we'd had and things that I know that she believes and stuff. And I think I'd do it in that way, which is quite thought out, rather than just be like make some kind of
for
quip.
real. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think, and it's a hard wire to walk, this one of like, fuck, we had John Key for 9 years.
Trash.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Nah, please, absolute garbage. And now we got this prime minister who does have some values and and like has done some great work, and there's a lot to not be happy with as well. And it's like, where I guess you just got to keep pushing for the things you want, right? In whatever ways you can.
And I think just always emphasizing like, this is constructive criticism, you know what I mean? It's not an attack in the way that, with John Key, it's just like, playing him out all day, every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can definitely say not much of my shit's constructive. The meaning is, and the facts that I'm saying are, but my way I go about it is just pure rage, eh? But that's why I leave it to the academics, like these people that study bloody political science or whatever the fuck they have.
But a lot of them are indoctrinated into the same shit that Labour is, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Yeah.
So I did a couple of politics papers at uni, and I was like, this is going to be exciting. This is going to be all revolutionary and radical. And it was all like, talking about how the UN is like the most amazing, is the epicenter of peace in the world, and how Israel...
Bro, the UN's raping kids, bro.
Yeah, no, the UN's fucked. But and they were talking about how Israel was like keeping peace in the Middle East. There's all this bullshit, and like...
Not a real country.
I had to bail.
That passion's important. I think like you looking at uprising in America and some changes that are happening, that's not because of some academics. That's because people are fucking passionate and angry and want to fuck shit up. Like
Angry. There are people been angry for 400 years.
Yeah, for real. Oh, speaking of which, so there's a lot of people are like sharing a lot of reading lists and stuff, and I wonder how much reading is actually getting done.
Yeah.
Or whether the people recommending the stuff have read it themselves. But I started listening to a podcast yesterday called 1619, which is about the history of America.
So write it down. 1619 potty.
Yeah, and it's fucking like I'm learning a lot of stuff I didn't know about America, slavery, the beginning of politics in America and political parties. It's super interesting and like.
Have you read the Howard Zinn book?
No.
People's History.
Writing that down though.
The People's History of the United States, I think it's called. Howard. If you look up Howard Zinn, this is his most famous book. It's probably a little bit dated now because it's about 20 or 30 years old, but that's sort of like that. Like it just goes through the history from a sort of socialist perspective.
Oh, yeah.
Yo, my comrades.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I want to go eat dinner, so should we wrap this up?
Yeah, I think that's about John ate dinner, so you can tell the listeners what you had.
Yeah.
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 Hey, thanks so much for coming on, Demi.
Yeah.
No worries, bro. Thanks for having me. It was a
awesome.
nice popping of the podcast cherry.
Yeah, you're such a natural guest as well.
think it's because he's a cool and I interact with you guys online for ages.
Yeah, hard out.
So it seems natural, you know?
Do you want to promo the OnlyFans or anything else?
Oh, nah. Just
Okay.
donate some money to some local organization, charities, fucking Black Lives Matter. Just, listen to people that are smarter than you, bro, and then do what they say. That's what I reckon.
That's such good advice. I live my life by that.
That could be the
advice.
name of that could be the name of this episode, Dan.
All right, thanks so much, Demi.
All right, cheer. Have a nice dinner.
Yeah,
Catch you later.
later.
Later.